really hum and drink tea at the same time? I mean, well, maybe I could. But that doesn't count because the stream hasn't started yet. Hello and welcome. I'm me, as usual, David from Fertile Pixel, and I'm a very sensible individual human. I'm just going to try and get that chat talk working properly. Why am I so sensible? Well, I don't know why, but I can give you an example of how I know that I'm so sensible. Are you just not interested in getting the chat working, eh? We'll get there. Yes, so I have my cup of tea right here. Extremely sensible. It's the same place that I had my cup of tea when. So this is my old keyboard that I used for years. Not very ergonomic. Weird spacing with the keys and so on. I'm using that just now because I'm just in the process of cleaning my G710 Plus, which that's what it looks like without all the extra stuff on there, like keycaps and what have you. But it's still got a moderate amount of tea in it. I'm not sure exactly how much is in between this metal plate and that circuit board. I can't separate them because I'm 99% sure that metal plate is, you can't see, that metal plate is held onto this board by all of these switches. And so in order to separate them and clean thoroughly inside there while being able to see what I'm doing, I would basically need to desolder every single one of these. Take the switches off, separate it, clean in there, and then put it back together. And I don't really have time to do that, but I'm pretty sure, well, I did that on Tuesday, and this is Saturday. I did the spill on Tuesday. I didn't realize how much tea had gotten in here. So the bottom of the keyboard, this bit here, which is where this lives. Yes, that way. There we go. Basically, there was enough that it had pooled all along here, and I only noticed when I picked it up that some had started dripping out, that there was still tea in there. So basically, I should have opened it up and got it cleaned as soon as it happened, and that would have been very easy. And now I've got dried on tea. This is tea with milk, so it's mainly the milk in there because it's full of proteins and sugars. That is what is causing issues there. I'm going to keep reopening this chat dock until the chat works. Sometimes it just needs a few tries. There it goes. Hooray, it says. Yeah, so that's why I'm so clever. Because I, once again, have tea right here in front of my keyboard. In front of my backup keyboard when I haven't finished getting my main keyboard working again. It would be interesting to learn how to desolder all the switches. and put them back together. But I just don't have that much extra time to do that. But yes, there's been quite a lot of scrubbing to get the dried tea off from in between the switches here. And I don't think I can just rinse it off. Maybe an option would be to just get the whole thing soaking in some... I need flux for desoldering to soak up the solder. I need to get that sound coming out of here so that it's not echoing into there as well. Let me just do that. And then I will finish reading those messages. I need to go for that one. There we go. Yeah, I don't remember whether I've ever desoldered anything. I know in theory how it works. But if I have, I don't remember, so it would have been a long time ago. And so I'd be able to practice. But yeah, that's a lot of solders. Because we've got 4 per switch. 4 joints per switch. Minimum. Some of them have more. Do they? Or are those just... Oh no, I guess those are just blank spots where you could put extra switches. And we've got... I don't know how many keys this is. I want to say something like 108. But I'm sure I could Google that. I better sip this tea quickly so that I don't have much left when I spill it on the other keyboard. G710 plus keys for account. Surely there must be a description somewhere that says how many keys. Or I could just count them. 104. There you go. So 104 times 4 adds up to a big number. Yes, 416. So I can imagine that would take a while. And that's like desoldering them and then soldering them again. So, yes, 832 little things to do. But yes, I can definitely see that a bit got onto the board under here. And I really don't have any way to tell whether anything got in, like, around the edges of the switches. So that's going to be interesting. I basically need to decide, do I 101 or 108? There you go. You pretty much had the range either side of it, so pretty it is definitely dead within that range. Dead within? That doesn't sound amazing. This is a picture of, I think this is an ad for replacement keys. But yeah, it's got 6 meta keys there, and although some of those keys are not involved in that, some of them are. Let's switch back over here. There, some of them are like along the top there. So that looks like actually, I guess if the replacement keys is 104 keys, then those probably aren't included. because I got 4 meta keys, a few other things. 12 more. But yeah, that's sort of irrelevant. I was confused for a moment. Why were these LEDs on along here? But turns out they're only on when I hold them in front of a white monitor or a window that is all bright on the monitor. Okay, now what am I doing with this? Because I'm not hearing those. There we go. I wasn't hearing the chat messages. This was just turned down. Oh, excuse me. 280C, hey? Okay. Cool. Yeah, I didn't think of a hot air gun. I would guess that would make it a bit quicker because you could just aim it at multiple solders at once, multiple solder joints at once, and wick up the solder. Yeah, that'd be interesting to do if I had a spare couple of days to learn the skill and do that. But yeah, basically, if I can I might look at whether it's okay to submerge this in demineralized water or deionized water. And I've got another random side quest, by the way. It's right here. I saw these. They're Pac-Man shaped, I think. Or at least maybe have Pac-Man patterns. So I thought I would get that and just give it a try. But yeah, I'm certainly not against desoldering all of that. If I had the spare time. And judging by how far through my list of things to do today I don't have a lot of spare time available right now. Oh, I need to send that thing to that guy. I don't know how anticlimactic these are going to be, but at the end of the day, they're still just plain flavored Oreos. So that's not my finest Oreo packet opening job there, but well, who cares? Okay. So I think the picture on there that actually has like a slice out of it is misleading, which I'm glad about because that would just mean less Oreo. So we have that lighting's terrible for that. There, we have a ghost and a Pac-Man eating some pellets or whatever those are that he eats. Probably grains of wheat or something. I don't know what a mukbang is, but I will Google it and then I will know, hopefully. Oh wait, too much letter C in there, hey? ASMR mukbang, okay. So, it looks like it is watching people eat food. I should stream all my meals. I made some soup today. An eating broadcast, yes. I mean, I always have a bit of tea drinking ASMR and tapping the mic with the cup by mistake. But yeah, I've got the light on today. I just felt like having a light podcast, And I'm washing my dressing gown, so I'm not wearing my usual wizard robe. Just got some scrubs on instead. Because why not? So I might not eat the whole packet of these, but who knows? I might even do some game development, who knows? Did I just say who knows twice? Yeah, sure. Stream's too modern. There must be a podcast. Which itself possibly seems too modern. Who knows? I keep saying who knows. I clearly don't know who knows. Oh, and here's my other thing. Someone was making one of these and it looked fun, so I started making one. I got that far and then I thought I better go start my stream. Oops. Hang on, it works better if you have it out straight. It's basically just tying knots along the thing and then repeating. Right, what was I going to do? I was going to find something. I was going to do this, and then I'll probably get covered up. No, not if I don't open the correct thing. There. Is it going to work? It's loading. It's taking its time. It's just the to-do list. But if that's going to be too slow to load, I might just jump in and do. Ah, there we go. There it is. Oh, I've got to get a bit more humble here. Just humble myself down a bit there. There we go. So, where was I? Oh, yes. Back in my day. No, back in the previous stream. I might move this over here so that we look a bit less silly. Look in the opposite direction. Yes, I was working on getting all of those nodes in the node graph, correctly updating their underlying nodes in the routine, the serializable version. So I was, let's see, pretty much working. Yeah, I got to the point with those connections being drawn, basically working, but sometimes maybe not. But I also might have figured it out after the stream finished. Not sure. Let me have a look at that. So let's see, that was drawing the connections after awake. And there was also an issue where I was using the wrong output, or I was always setting output 1. So was that on input drop target? Let's fire up Visual Studio and we'll figure it out. Ah, yes, so basically my next thing is adding nodes. And this thing, what was going on there? A bug. Connections may be wiped out when another connection is connected. Yeah, so that's something I need to figure out. So hopefully today, or this evening rather, I'll get as far as allowing nodes to be added to the routine, like have some sort of buttons or something else that'll add a new node. Have I ever figured out how to understand regex? Yeah, I've used it enough that I pretty much get it. I still use tools to make, to double check that I'm matching what I want to. It's certainly a bit of a esoteric thing. Just eating some crumbs there, by the way. And yeah, basically regex is something that a lot of people struggle with, and with good reason. I use, I think my go-to is regex regex. And there are a few tools like this that you can enter a regex, and all you got to do is click on the correct thing. So where did there it is? Just make that bigger instead. My typing is going to be a bit weird because I've got this scrunchy little keyboard to use, but yeah, basically this lets you put in a regular expression and some sample text, and it will kind of show you the matches, and you can have it explain the structure and stuff like that. But yeah, it's just logical. So, but you got to know how it works first. Oh yeah, I did mean to share that link. So give me an example of something that we want to match on for a regex. Email addresses is interesting. Did I share that link? I did, good. It's just taking a little while to show up. Email addresses are interesting because a quoted string, so like you can have an email address like dev@fertilepixel, and that is a valid email address. But you know, you can have it like that as well. But here's an interesting thing. I believe this is a valid email address as well, or rather, a valid email address structure. I haven't got this email address set up on my domain, but there you go. So that's an interesting one. But yeah, it's basically the same as other programming. You just tend to have it all on one line. You don't have to always have it all on one line. You can split it across lines, make it readable. Sometimes even put comments in there, depending on where you're defining them. And yeah, it's just a bit declarative, and you need to maybe check if you're trying to do fancy things like look behinds and stuff. So email address is going to be some stuff. Then an @ and then some other stuff. So like, you know, dot matches anything. A star is a greedy repetition. Is it? Hang on. Yeah, it is acting that way. Plus, instead of star means you have to have at least one of whatever this is. And whatever this is right here is like a dot is anything. But you could instead have like a group here. So, you know, it's like A, B, or C. Or probably could do a negated set here. So not an @ because I'm pretty sure that like @ is not valid. So any number of one or more not @ characters followed by an @. So I don't know why that one's matching. And this is where using a tool like this can come in handy, because then you can go to the explain and match any character that is not in the set. One or more of that. So this is weird to me that it would match that. Why is it matching that? Number-based converter. Oh, right. So basically, you're letting them enter hexadecimal, and they're not allowed to enter things. So yeah, like that should be fairly straightforward. Oh, I'm going to get rid of that /W plus. So W is like word characters. And usually if you've got, so these slash something, they're generally like a set of things, like /D for digits. And then if it's like a capital letter, it's like the inverse of that. So it's like anything except that set of characters. But yeah, let's do some number bases. Let's do some hex numbers. So here we go. We've got red, and here's the invalid one. Yeah, some invalid characters, and yeah, here's another invalid one, and there's a valid one using all of the things, and we can make another one that's like that, but has like a G in there. Okay. So you don't want it to type that, and it's supposed to only be that. So you've got two ways you could approach it. You could basically detect the invalid characters, or match when you've got only valid characters. So depending on which way you want to do it. So pretty much you could do a group that has like the digits 0 to 9, the letters that you're allowing, A to F, and the uppercase of those, A to F. And if we're talking about the like a text box, the value in the text box, we don't really need to, find the word boundaries. But you can say we want it to be from the start of the string to the end of the string. Have I got that around the right way? I might have that backwards. Yeah, I have got it backwards, and having this explained down here does it. So we'll do that for end, and is it a caret for start? Yeah, so basically we're saying, okay, from the beginning of the string to the end of the string, what we should have is only like any number of any of these characters. So I think are we going global flag here? A single line. This bit's kind of the fiddle around with it. Global multi-line. Yeah, there we go. So global to find all matches, and then multi-line to treat each line. Like basically it means these match the appropriate thing. So beginning of the line. Yeah, beginning of the line if multi-line flag is enabled. So if that was just a single string, it'd be beginning of the string, end of the string. But yeah, so we're matching the ones we want to match, and we're not matching the ones that we don't want to match, because not every character on that line is within those ranges. So that would probably get you up and running if you wanted to detect if everything in there is valid. If you wanted to detect invalid characters and sort of go from there, you just need to write a bit of different code around it. We could negate this character set, so this thing in the square brackets. You could negate that, and so this isn't quite going to work right now because we're saying we want a string that's only invalid characters, which is not what we want. We pretty much can match an invalid character anywhere in the string. So I'll get rid of that start and end. And then what we'll get is some matches, which looks like sort of not laid out very Now we haven't got any groups here, we've just got matches. So that's the other side of regular expression, depending on the language you're going with. You need to like make the regular expression, like write it and compile it into something you can use, and then different languages will have different syntaxes, different syntax to say, I want to take this string, apply this regular expression to it, and potentially in different ways. And then you get the output, and you need to kind of analyze that output, and it'll be probably like an array of matches, or if you've got groups in there, you need to pull out the groups in different ways. So this has no groups, as is mentioned here, so it'll just match anything. If you put some parentheses around there, you'll make a capturing group, and then that's when we get like a group here. Why is it NA for? All right, so yeah, we got groups, so you could sort of go through the groups, and if you wanted to list each invalid thing that was entered, or the other thing is you can just strip those characters out, right? So that's when you might have something that's doing some kind of replacement from it's going to be different syntax depending on the language, but maybe that regex. This is assuming you have a replace method that takes regex to match as input, and a string to replace it with, which is nothing. So yeah, then pretty much you don't need a group there. Just every match that matches this would get removed, and you don't even need the star there either, because this will match a single character. So you can see maybe on the zoomed version, or maybe you can't, but each of those characters is highlighted separately. Whereas with the star, it'll greedily find as many characters in a row that are invalid. So depending on how you wanted to do it, wouldn't matter if you were just replacing every match with empty string, so that would remove them, or there might be a specific remove method for your language. So that would essentially mean if every time the user enters some invalid thing, you just ignore it. If you replace what they've entered with the sanitized version that's had all the invalid characters stripped out. Anyway, that's there's a warning. Can return empty matches and may match infinitely in some use cases. That's interesting. And you can add tests on this, which is good. You can kind of set stuff up for your regular expression. It's always a good idea to test your regular expression as well. Like make a unit test for it, because even if you get to the point where you understand it well, if anyone else ever works on the code, you just need to assume that most of the people looking at a regular expression are just going to look at it and then stare at it for 15 seconds, and then smoke starts coming out of one of the areas, and then they just wake up from a full brain reset and have no idea what happened. So yeah, good to unit test your regular expression. So then just make sure, like, put some valid strings, some invalid strings, and just have some expectations in your unit tests that say, that's interesting, I think it's matching the new line character there. Some expectations in your unit test that say, it should match this, it should not match this, that kind of thing. So that's regular expressions. They're very useful for some use cases, like validating user input when they're called for. This one just says Pac-Man. So is that an N? Yeah, I guess it's more like an N than an M. Pac-Man. That's Pac-Man's mum, I guess. All right. So I don't remember if I did this code on stream, but basically I've got the connector number for the connector, which is just manually set in the connector prefabs. In these node prefabs. So that's just manually set to 1 and 2. 1, 2 is behind there, and 3, and 1 for that one, so on. Yeah, so it should be setting the correct output on there, but there was that problem with here where connections may be wiped out, and I think that might be to do with this, possibly. Somehow. So basically what I'm doing here is I'm grabbing that node just by the associated, like the underlying node representation that's stored in the UI representation of the node. And then I believe I'm doing some stuff to that. So I'm setting a value in there. And then I'm like setting that back into there to make sure that it's got the updated one, because it's a struct, and I think I need to do that. I'm not 100% sure. Probably need to brush up a little bit on that aspect of C# to make sure that I'm understanding that properly. Maybe I'll do that today. And then I call this, and this is a thing that should, I believe, update the routine from there. So let's see, that means that the node, let's say we're dealing with this enemy node here, just for the sake of argument. Let's switch to 2D view and just frame that. And so let's say we're dealing with this, and just pretend these connections are already drawn. So what we've got in this routine node UI script, we've got a reference. It's a reference? Probably not a reference, actually. Oh, more T. So we've got a, it might be a copy of that routine node representation inside here. And this is the code for routine node UI. And so that's stored there. Every time you set it, then it saves that into the field and also calls refresh display to update that display here. So that'll basically show the appropriate labels and numbers and things. But we've also got this propagate changes, which should take that current value from there and set it into that manager, like the current routine that's stored in the manager. So you get that node there. Log an error if there is no routine selector right now. And I haven't got routine selecting going with this yet. It's just the single routine that it automatically makes on start for now while I'm playing around with it. But yeah, it'll call update node on the routine, which is taking that node, grabbing its ID, figuring out where that is, and then I think I should put an else on here. Otherwise, it's doing something weird. Don't know why I've got a nodes.insert commented out thing there, because that would mean we were adding it, not updating it. So yeah, basically find the node and set that to this new value. So possibly what's happening is, for example, when I plug this in, so I plug that into there, that would update the routine, but maybe this one is not getting the new one. So now it's got the old version of the node representation. So then when you plug this in here, it's basically taking the one that has that output 1 set to 0, and then it overwrites. So I think that's what might be happening. If that is indeed happening, let me just check. So let's have a look here. Well, first of all, why don't I just look at like C# struct pass by reference or value. Have we got something that's something in official documentation? By default, arguments in C# are passed to functions by value. That means a copy of the variable is passed to the method. For value, struct types, a copy of the value is passed to the method. For reference, class types, a copy of the reference is passed to the method. So that looks like struct is passed by value, which means that anytime it's getting passed around to a method, it's not passing the copy from the routine around. It's passing around a copy of that. So updates to that copy are not going to update the original. And so yeah, that means I do need to set it back in there. But yeah, I think I might have this problem maybe. So the other factor there is that like this particular routine node UI already has its it has its node representation updated when that's routine node UI. I'm just going to pin that so I don't lose it. I'll pin that as well. So we got setting the routine node, propagating changes, and then the place that was happening was input drop target. So we're basically reading it off here. And that's the node that is found by being connected, right? This one, sorry. So we've got our output node. So this is the node that is outputting to another one. So we're getting that routine node UI from that node. And that node is basically the thing that this connection is plugged into. That's how it finds that. Okay, so yeah, that's weird then, because these aren't each holding a different copy. They're both just finding this and getting its copy. So not clear why they would be disconnecting each other or something. But I thought I saw it happening to some extent. Yeah, odd. So I'm just going to run this and see what I can do. So I've got some connections here, and I do remember there was some weirdness happening. If I just get some things to plug these into, plug them in, we might be getting some stuff logged down here. Updated selected routine. And then now I should be able to save that and then load it. And yeah, now one of these is not plugged in. So weird. Now, come here, you get plugged in. All right, so I plugged that in there. I'm going to try and save the routine again and load it. So now it's all plugged in. But there was something going on there. So I've got the outputs for different nodes here. Just printing out. So I can see here that threshold node. We got 7 to 8. So this must be ID 7, that must be 2, and that must be 8 that it's plugged into. So I think, let's try, I'm going to unplug this connection and plug it back in. Save that, and load. So yeah, now that's unplugged. I'm just going to plug this in, save, load. Yeah, that's all fine. I'm just going to take this and re-plug it in. Save that, and now load. So output 1 is getting unplugged when I do something with either of those. Okay, so that's like a 0 to 8, not plugged in to one of them. Let me just clear that. So I'll plug that in. So that's not showing me those numbers. I'm not sure what the trigger for that is. Do a save. Do a load. Okay, so this is on load. It's showing me those are all plugged in. 7, 2, and 8. So let me clear that. Just unplug this, plug it back in. It's just logging a connection that it found. So that happens on drop. That bit of logging there, that's just showing what node. Yeah, name of the connector that was dropped. Name of the node it was dropped onto. And then we've got the actual connection itself, which apparently isn't named very informatively. Okay, so that logs that. Plug that in. This is where we're getting that node. setting one of these. We've got case 1 break, case 2 break. I'm checking for those break statements so we're not doing something else. I'm doing something wrong there. Interesting. So that's basically assuming that that definitely has got a node in there and so on. So it's possible that if that was 0, somehow, then it could be setting that to 0. But it shouldn't be the case if we dropped like connector 2. It should be hitting this and it would be output 2 that was getting set. So that's a weird one. Should I press on and get that fixed now? It'll be pretty flaky if it isn't working. Like it's jeez. Had a bit of a cough lately, and we had really high particulates today. So one of the first things I did was not water the garden like I'd intended, but to wash our gas masks because they're all dusty. So they defeat the purpose of putting them on pretty much, so that I could go out and water the garden without giving myself even worse of a cough. Oh, there we go. Got a cherry. All right, so I think with this bug, I would at least like to figure out where the issue is happening. So what's being saved, and because it could be, what have we got? We've got a few different steps that it's going through. I should get some new painting applications. I should get Photopea and what's that other one called? Starts with K, I think. Learn how to use those. Let's see which I like the best. Recent stream sketches. There we are. Hello? Are you loading that or not? I don't think it worked. There we are. All right, so let me grab. Good, I wasn't drawing on my proper actual new real background. Let's just add another layer on top of that and call this something about node saving flow. All right, so what's going on here with these nodes? We've pretty much got the UI interactions, so that's not enough frames of stuff. Something's getting dragged, plugged into there. Which is the input drop target. Drop target. There we go. That says input, by the way, just in case my writing is, well, it's appropriate. I'm wearing scrubs, so good time to have very messy handwriting. So that gets plugged into there, and the plug goes into the socket, and then so it's got its. Let's put it here. Yep, that can be the start of that wire. So this will be the routine node UI. Registered nurse user interface. No, routine node UI, which has got the routine node in it. So we've got routine node. And then we've got the routine graph manager. So its job is to keep this routine here up to date. And so we've got the nodes in there. Let's draw them as something that's not lines. There we go. All right. So, and then routine graph manager. I will tile this together in a second. So we're calling clone on the selected routine. So we've got our save. And we've got our load. So yeah, I'm just making a clone of that. Clear nodes draw routine. Okay. So this is selected routine. These are buttons. That's the debug save button, a debug load button. But the point is it's storing it and bringing it back. So let me switch to a different color now, say this color. And so what happens? We pretty much, one, user does that. Then two, we update this. Let's do an up for updated. And then we, in here, propagate changes. So we set that routine node and we propagate the changes. So setting that should refresh the display, and propagate changes should update that. So anyway, that's basically the idea. Is we go to the appropriate node. Let's say it was this one in the routine, and we update that. So that's thing number 3. Like so. Is my chat working? Or did everyone just... Oh, is my chat broken, or did everyone just stop chatting? Because I was... Maybe I'm saying too much interesting stuff. Who knows? I should test it from here. I'll just type test on this. Or that test worked. I'm guessing you just went off to implement that regex stuff, because getting unblocked on something is very, very useful. Now, basically here, we're cloning that. Clone. It'd be funny without the clone. So then we've got our cloned one with that updated. And then load is setting that in there, cloned again. back into there. What else do we do when we load, actually? That's relevant. It sets that, and when it draws the routine, it clears the node. So basically, all this stuff here gets wiped out. I'll put some numbers on here. So this is like 4, does that. 5, we load it and it clones. And 6, we basically remove this lot. And make a new one. And go through and plug it in. So maybe where we draw the routine and we automatically plug it in, that could be also a place where something's going wrong. So go through all the nodes. And so grab the node, choose the right prefab for it, and then instantiate it in the right spot. Set the routine node in there, in the routine node UI, which should cause it to refresh its display. Like this, which is pretty much just updating text labels and stuff like that. Well, it's literally only updating text. And it's storing those UIs in this array here. And then, yeah, after that's finished, now we go through do all of the connections. So there's things to connect them to. I'm just checking if I'm doing this in a way that makes sense, because yeah, so we've got this plug-in output connector. 1, 2, 3. Where's this called from? Is it literally just these few places in here? It looks like it. Okay. Okay, so we've got the output number, input node ID. This is a bit all over the place, but oh well. So we got the output node UI. It should have its routine node set, like since this line here. So looking for the node with the right index, or looking at the index of the node rather. Looking up that node. Finding that appropriate drop target. Okay, so we're finding all of the output connectors. And then we're finding the connector that has the right connector number. Plug that to there. So that's only used for draw routine. Oh, hang on a minute. We're calling plugin connector on input connector. Just checking if there's some kind of looping that shouldn't be here. Okay, call plugged in. We set the parent to that connector and move it. So that should be benign. I was wondering if it updated the routine when you did that. Called that. Yeah, so that's all the places something could be going wrong. So where actually is it going wrong? Let's see if this is going to be willing to attach to Unity today. So on the other stream it wasn't. Let's enable that. So I guess what I want to do is have a look at each of these steps. So just to see at what point is input 1 not being connected. Is it just not saving with it connected? Is it when it loads somehow? Something around the cloning process? So input drop target. There's the output routine node. So I think at this point I can, I was going to just log something, but no, at this point I can add a breakpoint, can't I? Apparently not. Why not? Oh, it's all the way over there. So I can have a look at the routine node there. But even actually, I think I could maybe look at it here after it's done that. But yeah, that should be fine. And when we do propagate changes, we're calling update node. Oops. This is a class, so it's passing by reference. Someone's drunk on my tea. So I guess it's going to be just Oreos dry from now on. It's another Pac-Man. I should just aim for that little camera there instead of doing it by looking at the preview. So this bit. So we're calling propagate changes. So yeah, at that point I can check the routine node is what I expect. Sure it's using the right thing there. So that's like basically getting us to step 3. And then here we can check that. Make sure that's what's being stored in here is what we expect. Should be the same as that since it's a clone. Then when we load it, make sure it's loading what it should. That's happening properly. And then we're drawing the routine. So down here, routine. And this is selected routine, so I'll just put a breakpoint there and check it. Oh, and then here where we're wiring up all these connectors. And this is where I'm getting those 3 numbers. Right, so it's getting like 0, something, something. That's a node from all nodes. Which is just all the nodes from that array. Or from that routine, sorry, as an array. Okay, that should be thoroughly ready to go. So let's do some debugging. First thing we've hit is update node. So propagate changes has been called. Yes. Okay, so that must have just been stuff going on with the initial setup. Okay, so let's. Yep, going to need to do some continuing. Can I ignore all the breakpoints until I'm ready? I wonder. Okay, so that's just changing the position. I don't worry about that. Okay, so now I'll plug in some things. I'll plug this into here. All right, so output node UI is the threshold node. And we've got our this, which is that socket on there. Where did input node UI come from? Now, is this filtered or something? Why? Oh, we've got a lot of stuff. There's input node UI. What's this? Oh, that's really useful. Looks like this is just automatically doing something, but it's that label node. That makes sense. So at this point, so far so good. That has plugged in there. Now continue to the next breakpoint. Okay, now at this point, we should have Yeah, so it's not doing anything with that input node UI. Let's watch that one. What's that? No, that doesn't add on there. Delete the watch. Delete the watch. Delete the watch. All right. So that input node UI should have a routine node, label ID A, and node type label with a unique ID of 2. So we plugged that into 2. Now we've got our output routine node just here. Unique ID is 4. And we want to look at output node UI.routine node here. So that's the correct unique ID of 4. And we updated output 1 to be value 2. And it was originally 0. And that should be all that's changing there. So that all looks right. Let that continue. And we're calling propagate changes. So we got routine graph manager.instance. And then just continue that and see if I broke it anywhere else. Okay, so update. So here we're updating. Yeah, we have a routine. We've got a node being passed in, so that node should be the one that we had passed in, value 4, and output 1 set to 2. And then selected routine, on the other hand, should have that node probably about here, unique ID 4. That's got the old one in, which is expected. And we'll just let that run. And then it should have the other one in, so I probably should have just stepped to the next line and then check that value. Anyway, let's plug in another. Oh. Propagate changes just got called when I tried to start dragging that. So what's this? This is number 4, and it's set that to 0. Okay, so that seems like it could be potentially related. So an observation that is relevant. All right, so that seems to be on begin drag because I'm not sure if I didn't even moved it. So let's have a look at that output connector. Okay, connects to its parent. Awake. Sets a canvas. Not too big deal. But here on begin drag, so what's going on here that would trigger that? Change, I could put a breakpoint in here. specific load and output one. Check here. So that's probably it. So what was this doing? If the output is not equal to 0, then it's set to 0. Yeah, so that's the code that's meant to happen when I pick up a plugged-in connector and unplug it. So it shouldn't be output 1, it should be whatever the correct output is. Based on this connection number, connector number, I guess I'll just switch on that. One, two, or three, and default is let's log an error. Bad connector number. Okay. All right. So it's pretty much this whole thing here. So a little bit ugly having this repetition, but I haven't had these outputs set up in a way that's easy to just access them by index. So I'll just do it like this. Did I write that before? I think I wrote that before. Yeah, probably should go fix all the fix me's before I start chasing down a bug. That should fix it. So stop debugging. Let that compile. I should make sure I've got everything saved in here too. I forgot to check what that one was that I just ate. This one's interesting. Little ghost there. Some random other things around. Okay. Anyway, let's get that running and see that not bugging out this time, hopefully. Should probably adjust this so that these are like in the right place to start with. Okay, so that should still be connected. Save and load that routine. Yep, still connected. Plug this into here. Save it, load it. I'm pretty sure that's fixed. Illuminati symbols, hey? Don't they usually have triangles? This looks too, like, just vertical and horizontal. On the other hand, I don't know much about Illuminati symbols, so could be. I think, is it meant to be the area in the middle where the ghosts go when they're just a set of eyes to regenerate? I suspect that's it. I'm going to say that's fixed because it seems fixed. Yeah, there we go. That's that bug. And allowing nodes to the routine. Well, if I can do that in the next 9 minutes. Yeah, I can make some buttons like that. It'd be nice to have all the set of buttons be based on like the selected blueprint, like the blueprint of the selected factory. Because essentially we've got everything except start node that we can create, but there are different types. So action node should be able to create for a specific action. Yeah, I guess that might be a good thing to start. Each action type. Each decision type. Label. That's generic. Auto. Update label. Like A, B, C, for example. Go to for a routine and I don't have to base them on the blueprint initially. So label and go to actually don't require the blueprint at all. And these guys I can probably do like just everything available and then later update it to just the those that are available in the blueprint, or maybe just have that as a filter that's on by default. Hide nodes that aren't available and then add them later. It's some cherries as my second last thing. So I've got all these buttons here. Let's just pop a panel on here. Node palette. Well, these don't have spaces in them, do they? P-A-L-L-A-T or P-A-L-L-E-T-T-E. Let's go for the fancier looking spelling. I'm not sure if the one with fewer letters on the end is valid for when you're talking about like a painting palette. Okay, so pretty much, I think I was going to put it on the bottom. I think I'll go for the top. So I'll attach it at the top, stretch it across the top, and just make it more like that high or something. Alright, I'm going to eat the last of these because I can't stop eating them until there are none. And it is a ghost. I already had my, are they called power pellets? The things that make the ghosts all scared of Pac-Man? Anyway, I already had my one of those earlier today. So, ghost eating time. I'm going to get a bigger teacup because I finished that before I got a chance to spill it on this keyboard. So this keyboard's feeling left out. No, I'm probably never going to open you up and clean you. If you get something spilled on you, you'll probably go in the bin and I'll just find another old keyboard somewhere. Well, maybe. Alright, so I've got those there. All of those nodes behind there, they're all they're just kind of example ones. Example nodes. Ones isn't technically correct. My grandfather told me that when I was some kind of age. Don't remember. Probably less than, what, 13? I don't know. Yes, he said these ones is not correct. You just say these. The ones is superfluous. I don't think that stopped me from saying these ones. Not right away anyway. Okay, so now I've got a space where I can have node creating thingies. So I might just slap a button in here. Just let's go add node button. So this is the button to add a node. And wait, which thing do I want? No, that'll do for now. I'll just pop that up here and just label it with add node. It's obviously not adding a particular node right now, but let's have it add a label. So where will I put that? Maybe just somewhere here. I'll probably move this at some point. All right, so this will add a label node. Let's say add label node, actually. And it's basically going to do some stuff like this. So prefab equals label node prefab. So I need that. Okay. And What else will we need? Well, I need to instantiate that somewhere. We will need a position, and I think the position of the panel, just slap it right in the middle. I could probably do for now. Or I could use yeah, I could put it a few different options. Slapping it in the middle of here might be easiest, or just these squares are units here. So just the button position plus down to this line. 1, 2, 3, say 4 units lower on the Y. Oh, actually, we might not have the button positioned. So let's just have a look at that thing. Yeah, let's just use this position of the routine graph editor. And probably have to do something for the Z position. And I'll probably do that right now. So this is at Z -2. And that is at -1 relative to that. There's that palette. That should be irrelevant. Here, that's at -1. So we started -2, then we got -3, -4. And those are at 0. So it's really probably this routine graph that it's relative to. Do we have that here? Container? I think that container might be the one. Container, routine graph, X transform, yes. So that's what we need to base it on. There it is. That is a X transform. Contain dot position. Sounds good. But looks like they don't need any Z index adjustment. I could be totally wrong. This is the world space position. Wait, that says the world space position. That says vector 3 position. And doesn't say anything else. Anyway, that might work. So that's adding the node visually here, but not actually doing anything with that yet. Can I outline these comments? Because they are maybe this switch statement. Yeah. This is like, I don't want to throw this away. This is some info about how they use the connection manager that I figured out, but it'd be nice to collapse that. Anyway, what am I looking at here? We've got this bit here where it selected the prefab, and I was using the label prefab, instantiating it. Okay, so we're going to need to add it to the routine. So we've got this unique index equals -1. And we do that, and just don't need the whole switch statement. But cool. Okay, label. There's an action type, threshold, go to label. Here we go. Oh, that is not what I want to do. There, so I'll select this slot here and just bring that down there. So let's like instantiate it. I could just add it to the routine. We want selected routine there. I could just copy this one. There we go. That means position. I'm not insulting the container position. All right. So we get the unique ID by adding a node. The label ID shouldn't be A. How are we going to get the next label ID? Interesting. So we can get the nodes array. Okay, so we've got our nodes. And now, yes, go through those. And basically, if it is a if the node type is yes, a label type, then we're going to do something with label ID. What are we going to do with it? Because this is the current label. Because let's say we want like A to Z as the labels. So we got that, which is going to be a string. We get the first character of it. See if we can make an ASCII number out of that. I think if you cast a character as we just int in front of it. Okay, so I think that's a start. I'll say the next label character is going to be A. Why am I writing JavaScript? I mean TypeScript. Yeah, both syntax here. Oh, I don't need to convert them to int to do greater than, less than comparisons, do I? But I do need to, in order to add a value to it. So I think oh yeah, I don't need to cast it because you can implicitly do that. Debug.log. I'm just doing a little test here. Yeah. Now let's try next label character +1. And next label +1. There we go. So the idea here is just go through the nodes anytime any that have that are a label, just compare their label to the next label character, and if it's greater than or equal to that next label character, then set next label character to the +1, like next one, and that should work well, I think, or well enough anyway. Cannot implicitly convert. And it's because they are not the same type of thing. One is a thing and the other one is a bag of things. Well, not a bag of things. A rack filled with things. Was that noise meaning it's 10 o'clock already? Ah, man. Ugh. Time goes too quickly. I want to get this button working, so I'm just going to go for a little bit longer. First things first, this is called add label node. I'm going to grab my button here and have it actually call that on here. could put all this stuff into a different class. Maybe. There. I see these, meaning add label node and the other things that I'll presumably have. Anyway, so I've wired that up. I should now be able to run this and press the button, and some kind of magic happens. Interesting. Could not update selected routine. There isn't one. All right. It just says add node. Well, it looks like it's added a label node with A on there. And yeah. So I've got A, 65, 66, and 66. So if you add 1 to it, it looks like it converts it to an int automatically. So I think to do that, it'd have to be like wrap it up and convert it to a character. Like that. Because yeah, I guess using it with the plus operator, it implicitly gets converted to an int. But that should be all I need to get that label updating. So press this button. Okay, now we've got A65, B66. Excellent. This will break down the way I'm doing it if it gets above Z, but that's a lot of labels, so I'm not going to worry about it for the moment. All right, so here we go. We've got here we are. We've got that. So I don't think we need to convert it to a number, and I don't think we need that either. So I'll comment this out as well. So we grab that, and then inline this here. There we go. So this is the label character. And if the label character is greater than or equal to next label character, meaning we've already assigned up to beyond that label, then we basically want to set next label character to be a character that is one further along than that. And then that will just get used down here. I think we're fine just dumping something in the middle each time for now. Yeah. It'd be really nice when you click it if it's sort of attached to the mouse until you click the mouse somewhere. Or like even just clicking the button sets it to make that kind of node, and then you can click around. Something like that. But anyway, we just, yeah, won't worry about offsetting the position by a random amount to stop them from sitting right on top of each other. It's fine for now. So, because it looks like that should be able to now create labels, and then You can make go-to labels that use any of them. Actually, if I go through the routine, find all of these labels, and then those are the options for go-to. Alright, so I've got add node. That's adding A, which is wrong. Next label character equals A. Go through the nodes. That character. Should be right. So I don't know why it's put an A on here. I'm still getting A there. Even though I don't think we should be. But let me save that and then reload it. Oh, looks like it was creating the right thing. It just wasn't doing the right thing with them. It wasn't even setting the positions properly either. So they all ended up over here. So that's interesting. Why would that happen? We instantiate that. Oh, there's no connection between those two. Yeah, I think that'll be why. So there's the instantiation. Then there's this switch where it does that, and we get the unique ID for that, and then we get that, and do this stuff. So I think we need that as well. Some of this is going to be shared somehow between these things. Okay, I've called this node. I'll just call it created node. First of all, go selected routine here. And now it doesn't like this node here because it's shadowing that. I'm going to just change this one to node, maybe created node. Oops, did not need to hit enter there. Okay. So now we've got that. Should be all properly hooked up. And setting that property should cause a redraw, I think. So on set, refresh display. All right. Now we should be getting somewhere. I might change that. That's our add label node button. I'll add sprites onto these buttons at some point and probably redo them, etc. But for now, that'll do. What do I want to do here? Some sizing. Adequate. Okay, now we've got label B and C and D and E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z. Now, what is next in ASCII after Z? There we go. Different labels. I mean, it's all valid, right? And then we go to the lowercase alphabet. I'm sure there are improvements to make it. Oh, the character with Unicode value /U0081 was not found in that font or any of the potential fallbacks. No problem. I didn't like that label anyway, but yeah, once they're not found, that's not so good. This mainly going to be an issue if you keep creating labels and deleting them, which I don't have a way to do yet. So yeah, anyway, that's basically working. How am I going to have adding a go-to node? Go-to node? No. Go-to node. So I have a label ID on there. And pretty much something a lot like this, but no, actually we might not need that. That'll be needed to present the options though. So actually here I need this is one place I could potentially update palette and include go to I could go to this label, and then it would just have to also do that when loading a routine. Just add the go-tos for all of the labels. I'd prefer something a bit more declarative, but that might take longer to set up. Okay, so pretty much just need to do something like all of this stuff here. I will deduplicate this at some point. So we're instantiating it with the go-to node prefab. Now we're adding a go-to. I'll just double check up here in my switch statement. Make sure that I've got everything I need for a go-to. Yes, that's a label, that's a go-to, and yeah, basically the same set of things needed. So that copied one's fine. Except it's going to be just that label ID that was passed in. All right. So we're creating the node. So using go-to prefab, go-to node, whatever was passed in, and then I just have to figure out how to get that passing in. But everything else looks right. So if I duplicate this, add go-to node button, and temporarily this will be add go-to blank. Yep, that'll do for that. here and make it a bit wider. Like so. And now change that. Go to node and I can enter. Oh, interesting. So if I were to just like make that one A, has that made it A or has it made it a new line? Maybe that's made it A. Then your little script here. We've got node scripts. I think we can do with a new folder. Your node palette scripts. And a little script here. Go to node script. Don't need to call it that. Go to node button. So it will need to have a job or two. Oops, what have I got here? Sure. So I think this will be a prefab that I instantiate. And it's going to have a label. And it's going to have a particular thing that it calls. So this bit was interesting, the on-click. I wonder if there's any way that I can doing TypeScript syntax again. I'll get that button. Unity Engine UI button. That's about right. Okay, so we get the button. On click. Let's set the on click. Can I look at the listeners? I can remove listeners. So I can read that out of there, that'd be cool. But maybe I don't want that. Let's just have a few things. Label ID. It's going to be a string. I'll call it label ID because it's the same name as in the other place. On set. I'm going to draw something. Yeah. I'm going to do like a lower case one. Just give it like a hash character or something in here. Oh, it should be a string, not a character. Look at the old double quotes in there. I think I want to give this a block. And that can go there. This can go here. How does that work? Is that how it works? Okay, so label that equal value, and now we want to actually set that. Get rid of that for a second. So what have we got? We got we're on the button. Why do we want to get? Oh, right. Let's actually try and get the button component. Anyway, let's get that text as a serialized field. Yep. So just do that. So now we're storing this, and then pretty much whenever that happens, we need to make sure that the on click of the button works. Let's just have a quick look. UI button on click. Unity manual. That's the legacy version, so I'll turn back to that. And have a look at this one. Is that newer? Yeah. Closer. Wow. I'm sure there's a newer one. I'm going back to where it was selected though. Button, unclick. Here's an example. We got task on click, defined, task with a parameter. Here, so these buttons to unclick to add listener, and then this the name of the method. Sure. So that is yep. Create or create. That's what it's called. On click. So we'll just grab button. Button here. Button. We'll call it button. Because why not? I'll just add a listener. Use the create goto node. Name. So that should attach the listener. And then here we just need to actually create that. And we'll just pass in our label ID. Yep. That suggestion is correct. So now I just need to drag that button to the right thing. I don't have anything set in that label ID. Aha. Won't work very well without actually putting that script on there. Okay, so the text label, is that? And the button is on there. So we've got those. And it is, that's all good. So basically, that needs to be a prefab, but I'll just chuck it in there for now. Okay, so that prefab exists. So now I can make one of these every time that I need to. So let's just go here. So I've got these things. Let's just transform node palette. So that's that thing. And I also want the actually could use the type that on there, because I think you can do that with a prefab, and then when you instantiate it, you get that type back. And then that's actually going to be Just pull the variable out for this. Hopefully I didn't have anything called label it before. Okay. So now car var. It's better. The go-to button is going to be equal to instantiate of this thing there. Probably need to set up some kind of thing for this to auto arrange things. Like a flex layout. So maybe a grid layout group on there. Cell size 100 square. Yeah, maybe. How tall is the whole thing at the moment? 129. Maybe make it 160. And then these can be 80. Maybe wider than 80. Like that. Something. Actually, we don't need it that tall. 3, make them. Is 40 tall enough? Yeah. I'll make that 120. So I can stack 3. Start upper left. Start on vertical axis. Axis. I'm getting too tired to keep coding, but let's keep going for a moment. Child alignment upper left. Constraint. Flexible. Let's see if that works. For that. So now we should just be able to add children into here without it, like that, without them overlapping. They'll just go wherever they need to go. Alright, so after we've created that, and will it give us the correct type? Yes, it will. Then that go-to button, we need to set the label ID equal to label ID. And that hopefully will make them look the part and also do the right thing. The add label button could include the label that it's going to add. Ultimately, I'd like those labels to be sort of customizable, but have the same underlying ID, and then the player can just, they could change the text on it, and that would just be the display text for both the label and the go-to nodes. The go-to nodes would just look up that label. All right, without further ado, let me do this. Okay, so when I add, these are wrong. Oh, it doesn't matter. When I add that, okay, let's add B. I have a feeling I might not have actually done something there that I needed to. Red label, no button. Yeah, I forgot to put those in there. So I need my node palette, bin, and my go-to prefab. There's my go-to button prefab. All right. Now, can I add label? Oh, it just says B. And it maybe doesn't do anything. It's disabled. You got B and C that do nothing. Interesting. Okay. So, a couple of things. The label text isn't going to just be that. It's going to be like this. There. And go to value. Okay. So that text should be right, but why is the button not enabled? Here, button doesn't have any on clicks there. On start, it should be adding a listener for this. This is interactable. Hang on a minute. Why don't I have a look at what's going on? We can't save that. Okay, go out to the scene here. And what's the difference between that and that? It's got a script on it. I mean, it's a button. Interactable. So on. Main difference is no nothing in here. Oh, is that one working? So I've got these go to label D. I could just plug into there, but you get the point. So that is creating them. So what was wrong with those others? So now I've got label A, B, C, D. And I can create these, but yeah, for some reason those guys didn't get their on click. Add a non-persistent listener to the Unity event. Yeah, okay. So why would that not be attached sometimes? I've done it in start. I've got buttons. being attached in the inspector. So we got on-click add listener. Pretty sure that's what I'm calling. Right there. Oh, wait. Wait 1 moment. If these weren't on there. Wait, is that making sense? I don't think that's making any sense. Button on click add listener. That. Yep. First button, second button, third button, third button. So my other thought was, could that be not working if something's called in the wrong order? I have a feeling I possibly fixed up something while that was playing. Cool. Okay, so I haven't got like the make a go to A button. But yeah, that add go to B just isn't working. Add go to C isn't, add go to D is. What's the difference? Alright, that's really weird. Is it to do with, let me just pause that. Is it to do with being positioned behind something perhaps? Oh, what's that other panel there? Okay, so that is this. It is. Alright, I want to get that back in 2D. Okay, let's go to hide at 120. So this thing's top needs to be at 120. I think that'll change if I unpause that now. Go to B, yep, cool. Okay, so it wasn't anything to do with the buttons themselves. They were just unluckily behind something. Well, there we go. I can now create labels and go-tos to connect my hard-coded small set of other things together. So it's something. Yep, that. Go to any label in the routine, almost. So there we go. I'll save that for next time. Basically, when a routine is loaded up, it should remove all these go-to buttons and then just re-add only whatever's already in the routine. And then that would be kind of fully working, even though it doesn't look amazing. So that's it. Next time I'll look at adding action types and then the decision types. That'll be new. But hopefully I can get all of those added, and then I can look at actually hooking up things like these sensor decision nodes and the threshold decision. Well, they're not necessarily just sensors and internal state, but something like hit points is internal state. But you could have a threshold sensor that's based on a range finder that will detect the range to the next collidable object or something. And they could decide what you want to do at particular ranges. So that would be pretty interesting, because you could have a range to hopefully an enemy, and if it's, let's say, if it's talking about enemy distance, let's say if it was 2 or more squares away via the laser. If it was closer than that, then block, so that it can walk into your shield, something like that. Or just like if they're at exactly distance, not very precise here, let's say 4. If they're at exactly distance 4, fire the laser. If they're greater than 4, then walk forward. And if they're less than 4, then block. Something like that. Or you could probably use multiple thresholds with the same, like if you've got your rangefinder, then you could have, let's say the range was, like these are in units, so it'll be the number of squares here, like 4 squares is there to there. But you could have one threshold decision that handles if they're, whether or not they're close enough to block, like we should block with the shield, and if they're further away than that, then there could be basically another threshold decision that's like, are they close enough to hit with the laser or not? So interesting. So I just think of different designs for these things, which I'm not going to implement anytime soon. So that does it for now. Oops, that's not what I wanted. I tried to do save project and save all on here. Lasers have a range? Yes, I believe so. Let's have a look. That's not going to close while it's not running. The lasers have a particular range. Well, at the moment they do. They're just well, let's get some actual lasers going on here. So let's make a laserer, like so. And let's also get you not trying to turn or anything, but let's get you firing lasers. Let's say 6 shots. All right, let's see what happens. Hopefully this will not just immediately explode. Okay, let's see what your range is. All right. Well, it's too effective. It's killing everything. before it's hitting the limit of laser range. Okay, so yeah, you can see that laser only made it to there, didn't go all the way to the factory. Get these guys to do less walking, and actually do the walking after. Okay. So there you go. I think that illustrates the range. So it'll hit any of the 4 squares in front of them at the moment. And of course, that's just one little example. No, that's just on purpose. Just to make it a little bit more interesting, having limited range. Only 2 commands. You're talking about they can only walk forward or do lasers? Oh, right. On spawn, they will always move from the factory to the first square. So that was the spawn, and then everything after that is lasering, and then the move. So in a more polished version of the game, that would probably look more like the factory, has a gantry come out and drop the robot on that square or something. But I do have a move right at the end here. Otherwise, they'd start crashing into each other. They'd just sit here and do that. Looks like, they have 1. So now they're just firing until they hit that wall and explode. So that's fun. See, this one here, to actually do anything, they have to steer around that. So they're going to spawn to there, so they need to probably go forward 1, turn right, go across to the next lane, turn left, go forward twice, then we'll go out of that lane, turn right, and doesn't leave a lot of room to do anything. But let's say we're going to fire a laser. Now we'll give them a laser. Or do dual lasers. Hope that they had something. They got to stick with the standard legs, because otherwise they'll won't be able to steer. There we go. This one looks like it's made it, and then fired at that one. Oh, those guys have shields. Don't think the lasers are going to do much against that. Yeah, it would work with isometric. And that could look pretty cool. Yeah, that's a really good thing to consider. Having isometric perspective. Yeah, I could do this in 3D, really. And that would allow viewing at different angles and that kind of thing. If that timing is right. It's never going to get to there. That's the problem. These guys can help, though. Now they've got to do more walking. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so take 3 steps. Turn right. We need better legs. Then fire some lasers. And then maybe you'll hit that guy. Uh-oh. He's gone rogue. Like 1 more step before turning right. And then just provide some laser cover. Oh yeah, because then he'll walk into that wall afterwards, that'll get him out of the way. Armored Core. I don't think I played it. Oh yeah, that's definitely the kind of thing that I would like to do with this. Essentially, they're like little mechs, as far as like how they would operate. Yeah, so far I've kind of got infrastructure in there for. Well, I got the factories having like metal and energy production and so on. But yeah, I would like each bot to have a certain amount of power generation and battery capacity, which basically each part would drain power a particular amount when activated. Some parts would need to charge over time, and that might be rate limited by power generation. And then, yeah, parts could also have weight, and that could determine the energy consumption to move or the maximum speed, things like that. So yeah, that's definitely the kind of thing that's going to go in the like in the blueprint editor. I haven't implemented any of that yet, but essentially it'll be like there are a set of upgrades, so you can increase various kind of base stats like hit points and things, which would get exponentially more expensive. And also, like if you're adding armor, that's going to add weight and reduce your top speed, things like that. And then you might need to upgrade your like battery capacity or generator production to be able to support the parts you've got on there, or otherwise you might just have a bot that's going to be limited. Like it might sit there for a while charging up, or accumulating some charge before it can fire its laser, or something like that. So yeah, I think that definitely makes sense. But that should be fairly straightforward. So not something that needs much prototyping. That's just more just coding it up. So yeah, once I've got the routine system working, that's kind of the main thing that I'm prototyping. Then at that point, I'll probably stop, reevaluate, and yeah, do things like figure out the perspective the game's going to have, and all of the various systems that'll go in there, because then I'll have like systems as in things like that, like all of the way that the parts affect the robot's power consumption, weight, and therefore speed. That would also affect collisions. Like if you make a very heavy bot and then give it some powerful legs that can get it up to speed, that's going to be a lot of inertia when it runs into something. So instead of just like these guys as cheap kamikaze bots that just build quickly and move, which is kind of the only kamikaze option, or I think the double shield guys are the other kamikaze option. Actually, let's make some of those. So you have cheap legs because they just need to move forward because there's no factoring in of weight. But we'll just get them moving forward repeatedly, and maybe just do a couple of long blocks to increase the chance that something will run into them. And hopefully that will take out some of these. Here's the guy. Oh yeah, of course I'm doing it the wrong way. I should do the I'll let one spawn so that I don't wreck that. I have it just sitting there. There you go. I'll get that to the block first, and then he's got his friends running into him. So you stop doing that nonsense, and you as well. All right. So yeah, this is kind of the main kind of collision-based build that's possible at the moment. But yeah, imagine if you could just make like a heavily armored thing, give it really powerful legs, and that can accelerate a really heavy bot, and then basically just pick up speed, hopefully plow through a few enemies and straight into the enemy factory or something like that. I think that'd be pretty cool. Yeah. But right now I have to sleep, unfortunately. If I didn't have to sleep, I could get all this stuff implemented really quick. But yes, that is it for me. I have been David from Fatal Pixel, and I'll be back in a couple of days to do more of this, because I'm going to stick with this until I've basically got the new routine editor, this one, until I've got this hooked up to these guys. And then that would be pretty cool. I will have a great rest of the week, which is either just tomorrow or between now and midnight, depending on how you measure your weeks. So, and you also. Goodbye for now. And I'll even find this button soon.